press conferences that I've had, maybe ever except for my first 26 and a half years ago. I still have the heart from Boston in there. At the Faculty Alumni Center, which is probably not in existence anymore. But more importantly, just because of all it entails and the life experiences that I've been so fortunate to have in those 26 and a half years at UConn. Just down the road, as I said, 26 and a half years ago, May 15th, 1986, I said that the UConn job would take some time. Well, maybe not 26 and a half years, but it's going to take some time. But it's a doable situation. What's not really doable is thanking all those people along the way. And if I don't say your name, I will get that opportunity somewhere, hopefully, to do that. If I don't say how much that you mean to me, to the Calhoun family, and the picture will look different today than that first one with the four of us and the husky dog, which some of you remember. It'll look a little bit bigger today and much prettier and much nicer. Sam and handsome, I'm sorry. He's got 5 siblings, it's difficult. This all started on a trip down from Boston. Jackie McMullen, who some of you know, drove the car. It was a car then. We were in the car, she drove and wanted to get an inside look. She's working for the Boston Globe before she went to Sports Illustrated. And Jackie was a good friend. Jimmy drove the car behind so we could get home that night. And I said, you know, this is Husky West as opposed to Husky East, which was Northeastern University. But what happened when we got here, this family of 4 was taken in by the University of Connecticut, by its state, by its fans, by its people, and you showed trust in us. The 4 of us came here with great promise, great ideals. When I first saw the field house, some of those ideals went away, but nevertheless, I think it was the first, Tom Ritter, I think it was the first rainy day when it leaked and we put the, Scotty probably remembers some of that too, but that happened. But you did embrace us, and most importantly, you trusted us. For some of you, you needed translators to get the Bostonian out occasionally. I always remember one fellow said simply, how are you going to understand him? Have you ever seen him coach? They don't have to understand the words. They'll understand them very quickly, and they did. We had to engage our alumni, our fans, our students, our administration, our legislator. We had to show everyone that as a member of the Big East, we had a rightful place at the table. As a matter of fact, we had a loud voice. And our first thrust was letting everybody know within our neighborhood at that time that we were going to have a voice. We were going to have something to say about the future of basketball, particularly in the Big East Conference. The first step in being special is to believe you're special. You can't do something special without believing it can happen. Foolish enough, being stubborn and Irish, which kind of go together, I believed it. I believed every bit of it. As one night, 26 years ago, Tom Ritter believed it, and so many other people like Larry McHugh, who I talked to, and I've been just blessed with so many people who believed in that dream. And we had to engage, this can only be accomplished, this special feeling, with a collective effort by everyone. And that's one of the great stories of UConn. It took no one single person, it just took some direction. This task was much too multifaceted, much too complex for any one person to achieve. It took players from all over the country who truly believed that we were doing something very special here. Initially, it was based upon trust, on a dream, not on tangible facts that we could show them. We just come off 4, and I helped 5 straight winning seasons. But you believed. The guy from Jacksonville believed. The guy from all over the place, originally kids from Israel, believed that we could do something very special here and believed in what we were saying. Maybe because when we said it, we believed it. When we said it, we believed it. It took coaches who believed in UConn, our program, most importantly our players, and finally in me. We were just starting, but we needed to have all those people aboard because they make a difference. It took a university to support our dreams to make it all possible. It took presidents from John Castine, who hired me, to the present great breath of fresh air, and Susan Herbst, who is making a significant difference and who's going to give us an incredible future, and administrators to care about our players and coaches to allow us to achieve. It took governors all the way up to Governor Malloy, and legislators to provide funding and support to allow us to move to a whole different level. It took an incredible support staff who only would be noticed if they didn't perform their magic behind those curtains. James Duran, my trainer, Christina Bukhari, I can say it now, and Felicia Crump, my academic advisor, my administrative assistant, and my trainer, 3 people as examples who perform their magic every single day behind those curtains. And there's been so many others. I look out there and see Howie's face, and we kind of started this whole thing together in a room over in the old field house, probably about 100 degrees, and the scary part, Howie wasn't sweating. And last, but a long way from least, our fans, whether students, faculty, employees, alumni, or just plain Connecticut folks. Without you, UConn basketball wouldn't be UConn basketball. I know many times that you think that it goes unnoticed, but every time I walk in Gamble Pavilion and the students stand and clap as I walk in, I get chills. It may go unnoticed, but certainly not to me. When you stand the entire game and will never give up on us, it's noticed, maybe not acknowledged. And lastly, the fact you stayed to the very end, that's cool. That is really, really cool. To our other fans, trust me, it's never gone unnoticed that in those cold, cold nights, rainy nights, those sleet nights, walking through snow, being taken up here in all different directions, and yet showing up to support something that you love and I love. The fact that you drove through that sleet, you drove through that rain, allowed us to be what we have become. You always felt, through all your various letters and others, things, that our players were more than shooters and dribblers and postmen, that they were people. From Mrs. Brunson's cookies, which are delivered on a regular basis, to all the other various aspects in which you've shown that they're kids, they're college students, they're student athletes, and that has always been appreciated. Trust me, you being an incredibly important part, everybody in the state of Connecticut never, ever was maybe expressed, but never, ever went unnoticed. I love this team. They're a group that's going to carry the UConn legacy on because we do feel we're UConn men. I feel so good about them. Whether what we're playing for UConn. We're playing for the state of Connecticut. And we're playing for our basketball team. I've been asked that question enough times. The purest part of the game, we're playing for that. And they will. And just as I said to them a few minutes ago, you can separate this, you can't separate a fist. And they will be a fist and a great example of what we want. Our coaching staff, having Kevin come back, Kevin Freeman, who's going to be sensational, having George. I think George was here before me. But having his trust and his ability and his analytical thinking, and just having George there is incredibly special. Glenn Miller, who I coached, terrific coach, terrific person. Carl Hobbs, great having him back, 1994 captain. You'll notice that we have 4 UConn guys on our staff. We think that's important. We think our legacy is important. We think our family which all of you are a member of. In many different ways, none of that goes unnoticed. We know that you care, and we feel that you care. You know, I'd be remiss if I didn't at least publicly introduce my family, because I usually kind of goof that up, so I'm going to just do that just for the moment. But my oldest son, Jim, just stand up and down, please. My wife, Pat. That's the best recruit I ever got. Best recruit. My son, Jeff. My daughter-in-law, Amy, former administrative assistant. My daughter-in-law, Jen, former UConn manager. And then our grandchildren, Sam, Calhoun, Avery Mary Calhoun, Katie Calhoun, Peyton Calhoun, Reese Calhoun. It's amazing they all have the last name. It's kind of funny. Emily Calhoun, our teenager. But I feel so blessed today that I have had the opportunity to coach at UConn. It's never been about me. I've just been the focal point. Now, I know I'm sometimes a rather loud and visible focal point, but, you know, the old expression, you got to be going in one direction. And I felt the direction was that we could do anything. And I feel that today as we go forward under the leadership of Susan and Ward and Larry as our board of trustees. We're in great shape, as I said before. I know that later that he'll be getting up, and I won't have the opportunity to talk about him, but I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about Kevin, who's taking over as the head coach. Kevin Ollie, simply put, epitomizes what we want a UConn athlete, UConn student, to be all about. Now, when you say that about somebody, that's heavy stuff. I've had 200 and something players, but any foxhole you need to jump in, there's your guy. Any person that won't quit, there's your guy. He just got a PhD in 13 years in the NBA with, God rest his soul, Chuck Daly, Larry Brown. Kevin is a great basketball man. He's even a better person, and he epitomizes, I think, everything we all want at our university. And so I'm incredibly proud of Kevin, our staff, and I'd be remiss, this team that's going to bring you great delight this year because of their effort and what they do. And lastly, I'm one of the luckiest people alive because I've had a chance to touch our players' lives. I just was in with Donnie for a few minutes, and it was hard for both of us. We go back to that night I took the cab to your house. Everybody else showed up in limousines. I took a cab. Kind of a Bostonian way to do things, I guess. I coached our teams and allowed our teams to be a vehicle to shine a light on this very, very special university. For all those who have tried to understand me, I don't know how you could do that. I have a difficult time with that concept myself. But more importantly, for all those people who've reached out to help us and made the Calhoun's drive to Connecticut 26 and a half years ago awfully special, thank you very, very much.